Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're watching me, Nikki U. This is the June 17, 2020 Global Market Update. There's a lot of news, but of course, this has to be the news that made the market happy. UK clinical trial finds steroid reduces death in some severely ill COVID-19 patients. A randomized study conducted by University of Oxford, they tested dexamethasone as part of a larger trial evaluating multiple potential treatments for COVID-19. About 2,100 patients received a low dose of dexamethasone for 10 days. Another 4,300 patients received the standard of care. Generally speaking, the dexamethasone is a $10 cheap drug that allows COVID-19 patients to recover 90% recovery rate. So this is a very good news for the vaccine treatment front. There's also news last night. You could see that Roku was trading higher, trading at 120, rising 12% for the day. Shares of Roku made some noise in an otherwise quiet session for Roku because of trading rumors that Alphabet wants to acquire Roku. In a Motley Fool article, we see that Alphabet has not really expressed interest in Roku, and Roku said that it's not for sale. However, uh, insiders are saying that this rumor could make a lot of sense. Number one, Google is already a powerhouse generating advertising revenue from its YouTube. Google Ads is a compelling ability to deliver personalized ad to Roku TV is a very good thing. With streaming TV on demand, opportunity for programmatic advertising, relevant and targeted ads is extending beyond the computer chair to the living room couch. Now, due to COVID-19, overall CPM ad rates has declined as companies have cut their budgets. And according to Interactive Advertising Bureau, connected TV is currently the most resilient connected device category. Roku is booming, the default operating system for connected TVs. It is positioned to become a major beneficiary of the death of cable. Whether YouTube actually starts to recognize this massive opportunity, Roku's market cap of $15 billion is a very easy and affordable buy for Alphabet, which is a $1 trillion company. Also, yesterday, actually, this was a news on June 15. PagerDuty and Microsoft was integrated. It's in their YouTube account. PagerDuty's YouTube account showed how PagerDuty is helping Microsoft Teams. Right now, from a chart wise, I see resistance of PagerDuty at around 35 to 38. This is still approximately one of the cheapest SaaS companies, price to sales ratios. We're going to discuss the charts, but definitely PagerDuty, Zuora, and Baozun are the cheap SaaS names that I think that will be able to profit from 50% if the markets agree with us. We bought PagerDuty at about 26, Zuora at 12, Baozun at about 32. Last price, PagerDuty is already trading at 29, Zuora is trading at 14, Baozun is trading at 35. So we're comfortably about 10% up from our entry prices. I'm loading some slides. Let's see. Doesn't matter. Okay, we'll skip a few slides of that. Hooray for mom and pop. Of course, this rally in US is one of the largest and strongest, I'd say, one of the strongest rallies, and retail investors have really participated in the recent upside. This is very bullish for overall business and consumer confidence. And although the retail inflow spikes usually end badly because the speculative fever of these people, definitely they don't lock in. So definitely you have to be a bit cautious. And the market is really in an extreme bull market. It could be a sign to also profit take a bit after 100% run, especially for some airlines. But not just that, not just airlines. Even cloud names have gone 300% up from their March lows. So it really depends on which names you hold, but you have to trail stop. I just wanted to share that David Portnoy always got into all the media outlets. David Portnoy, just a few backgrounder, he's the founder of Barstool Sports. He built a media empire at the tender age of 26. He was essentially It is essentially a Xerox and fax tout sheet for sports gambling. In late January, he cut a deal with Penn National Gaming (PENN), taking a minority stake, valuing Barstool for around $450 million, making Dave Portnoy very rich, as a good portion of that deal was cash. Now, the real rush comes in the stock portion. David Portnoy has an option with an investment stake in Penn National Gaming. Initially, actually, during the COVID time, Penn went from an all-time high of $40 to as low as $4, 90% down. It has since rebounded so far to about $32. I'll show you the charts later. Nomura gave Penn a Barstool premium as of May 29, 2020. At that point in time, I think Penn National Gaming was trading at about $22 with an average sell side of 25. This brokerage firm increased the target price for Penn National Gaming all the way to about $39. The $39 for Penn assumes a target multiple of 9.6 times the 2022 EBITDA estimate. It's a slight premium to the average forward multiple, given the strength of the iCasino sports betting through Barstool. We'll discuss these sports betting bets. Of course, our sports betting bets like GAN and Gamble, they've actually rose about 20% in the last 2 days, giving our listeners, if you're watching this, I'm sure you've heard us talk about esports entertainment. Gamble provides sports enthusiasts, esports enthusiasts, an opportunity to wager on esports competitions such as League of Legends, such as Riot Games, Epic Games, Fortnite, and so forth. So through esports fans in the United States, they're allowed to wager, although these esports fans in US are not yet allowed to wager on the Gamble platform due to legality. Laws have the potential to change. We are seeing legalization of sports betting happening already. Of course, Nevada, New Jersey. There's also data that there was a 124% spike in the New Jersey iGaming market, which actually benefited GAN Limited. Gamble is a little bit short on cash. However, there is very right now there is a huge potential for esports wagering. So if you believe that members of the Generation Z cohort and young millennials will favor esports gambling as opposed to regular sports gambling, you should give a serious consideration to adding Gamble to your buy it and forget it portfolio. This is a worthwhile read. I'm sharing you some articles. There is an article by A Capital on his top 10x companies. All of these are actually momentum hot darlings, and they're very expensive and frothy in Planet USA. We're gonna have to try our best to get them on a pullback. Fastly and Datadog have been rising 300 to 400% up in the last 3 months. I will wait for some corrections. I'll give you the charts for these names. 10 names, the new fangmans of tomorrow. That would be Roku, Coupa, CrowdStrike, Datadog, Twilio, Livongo, AlterX, Zoom Video, Okta, Fastly. All of these are niche categories. You know these names if you've been watching or listening to me. Doesn't mean that you could buy them now, but you want to have them in your watch list. I'm going to summarize some of the reasons why these 10 are considered leaders in their department. Alteryx, the theme is, of course, big data analytics, a leader in data science and analytics, machine learning, and AI. Coupa Software, leader in cloud-based business spend management, enterprise solutions, digital transformation. CrowdStrike is in your cybersecurity. It's a leader in that category for cybersecurity. CrowdStrike against Zscaler for that and versus Palo Alto Networks. Datadog is an enterprise software leader in data infrastructure monitoring solution. This is a very niche category, enterprise software and DevOps. Fastly is an investment in the whole of internet and the cloud, the edge. So it's an internet infrastructure play. Livongo is a company leading the revolution for digital healthcare, specifically diabetes management, telemedicine. Note that these prices have gone 300% in the last 3 months. So be careful a bit, but this is just really for information purposes. The prices today are actually frothy for these names. Some of them are maybe 10-15% upside and more downside if the market actually corrected, as some of these have no profitability. and trading at about 40 times price to sales. Some are even trading at 80 times price to sales. Be careful about these names. Nevertheless, Okta, a leader in independent identity management platform for enterprise identity services. Roku is, of course, leading the revolution for programmatic advertising, connected TV. Twilio is revolutionizing cloud communications. It's a cloud platform, communications platform for the Netflix, Uber, Airbnb, and the likes. Zoom Video, of course, remote working, a social pandemic network, leading the revolution for video conferencing. All of these are minimum 300 to 1,000% in the last 5 years. So be careful. I'll show you the charts, but these are just giving you data. How pandemic has hit the retail stores. I saw this data from about the Census Bureau. So far, the 70% drops have been on your clothing stores. So we're seeing that retail clothing is one of the most impacted in the COVID crisis. 40% drops for your restaurants and bars. Of course, the COVID pandemic winners are your groceries, your online stores, some building materials, and a little bit on the general merchandise. The furniture and electronic appliances had a drop of about 30%. Auto parts was down 20%. In general, clothing stores are the most battered, and we can see that actually in the charts being one of the still, yeah, this is fundamentals because actually the charts are up 100, 200% from the lows. We have been advocating buying Capri Holdings. Capri Holdings, a luxury play, owners of Michael Kors, Versace, and Jimmy Choo shoes. Clothing wise, you could see that TPR, Tapestry, and PVH have actually bottomed out 150, some of them 50 to 100% from the lows. I wanted to share this for informational purposes. Disney is often a gift stock. So back in 1971, Melanie Schlossberg's father purchased her and her sister one share of Disney stock. That would be about 59 years ago. Is it 50 years ago? 49 years ago. So Schlossberg is now 48 years old. She is now a marketing consultant, a jewelry designer. She reinvested all those dividend payments that she received from Disney, purchasing more stock in the company year after year. By 2016, from one share, she had 300 shares of Disney and sold $50,000 of it to fund the down payment of her first house. She cashed out another $5,000 last year to put a new roof on her home. So Schlossberg's father already died when she was 7 from lymphoma, but she sees that her continued investment in Disney as a gift from her father is a gift that keeps on giving. The moral of the story is that my father is still taking care of me via the Disney stock. This experience is far from unusual. Gianna Floyd, the 6-year-old daughter of George Floyd, revealed on Instagram that she became the company's newest shareholder over the weekend as Barbara Streisand gave her a Disney stock. It was one of the many gifts that Gianna has received following the death of her father during the incident with the police in Minneapolis. George Floyd's death sparked protests around the world, renewing interest, of course, in the Black Lives Matter movement. With companies like giveashare.com, take note that Disney is one of the most given gifts for their children, grandparents. You can receive a mock-up of the past stock shares as a keepsake. The company does not ignore its youngest shareholders either. A 6-year-old Disney shareholder was given the chance to ask a question during the CEO's Bob Iger's time in an annual shareholders meeting in 2015. The reason I shared this 48-year-old story is that I myself saw my uncle invest in NVIDIA, AMD, but maybe about 10 to 20 years ago. So, of course, those resulted in very good moves in the last 10 years. You know that NVIDIA is more than 10x in the last 10 years. AMD went from about $1 to now, let's say his cost was about $10. So $10 to about $55, even in just the last 5 years. So 10 years, that would be cheaper, maybe about $5 cost. So this just tells you for all my listeners and viewers that you should consider not just short-term trading, but think about that what is the gift that you will pamana. In Filipino, pamana is to give to your daughter or your children. It's an inheritance. So that those are think of your Pamana stocks. Of course, Disney at 105 gets a buy rating from us. But at 117, I'm not I'm price sensitive when it comes to reopening themes. Now, Stripe's estimated payment volume. Stripe is not yet listed, but of course, you could see from this data that Stripe has been growing, actually outpacing Square. So Square's growth from about 2015 to 2020 is remarkable. You could see 36, 50, 60, 510. However, what's more remarkable is Stripe went from 10 to 150 in terms of payment volume growth. Stripe, of course, is helping all the Shopify. This actually helps you see that Stripe is a huge has a huge correlation with Shopify's growth. Some names for you to know, of course, oat milk sales are growing 225%. This is a little bit in agreement for your plant meat play, in this case, plant milk play. Some of the plant meat trends, plant-based trends is actually Conagra and Kellogg's, also up in the last 2 days. We've been covering these names in our inner circle. Now, Ichi, of course, rose about 35% yesterday on another rumor. Tencent is rumored to buy Ichi. Baidu controls 92% of the controlling stake. Therefore, Baidu was also up 8% last night. South China Morning Post reported that Tencent wants to buy Baidu's stake in Ichi, which it had previously spun off. Tencent's video has lagged versus Ichi, with revenues increasing 11%, both lagging Bilibili, which is growing 70%, which had an emphasis on video gaming and cartoon graphics. This is a good selling point for Ichi. It will help Baidu, as it also is looking to relist in Hong Kong. Now, where there is volatility, there will always be opportunity. Let's go to the charts, shall we? Let's go to a few charts that we discuss on the news. Okay, let's go to your charts. Yeah, so definitely, it was a very, very strong movement in the US. We could see that all of our Donzi names, our most resilient names, are actually very strong. Roku, of course, is 12% up. Let's go one by one. And actually, last night, the 17% increase in retail sales has helped your department stores. We've seen Nordstrom go 15% up. Macy's was also up 15% up last night. So pretty strong movement in US. Nevertheless, yeah, a lot of milestones like Mercado Libre hit $1,000, C Limited hit $100. You've got expensive names getting more expensive. So here for Roku, we're seeing, of course, that the rumor on Google is a good thing, but we are seeing, just so you know, there could be resistances here. So previously there was resistance here at 170, 160, 150, 140. There will be some resistance at 130 tonight. So another $10, 130 to 140. You might wish to scale out on that news. As if that rumor is squashed, then the prices could fall again. Nevertheless, we like Roku long term, but it might be an opportunistic move to sell on a rumor. Between rumors, Baidu and Ichi. Of course, Baidu, we like it. We've had a lot of buy signals here. If Baidu continues stronger here at 130 to 140, there is resistance here at about 140 area. With Ichi, that was a strong move. That was a 30% up, but there's resistance here at about 27 area. In fact, yesterday at about 26, there was no, there's a lot of people actually profit taking on that news. That is a resistance before. Usually in these types of gap up moves, you want to actually be the first to sell. Gap up last night for JWN. Of course, this was a 15% gap up, hit about $20. It could go 50% higher, but there will be resistance at every 10% level. So 20, 22, 24, 26. You have to scale out on the way up. With the news of PagerDuty and Microsoft, you could see that since June 15, that was the low, made a buy here at about 25, 26. Now it's 29, but from a price to sales ratio, PagerDuty is actually very cheap versus all the SaaS crazy names. Pager duty could go as high as 32, first resistance, another resistance here at 34, and then a final resistance at 39. From a risk reward ratio, I'd say that people who still want to enter can enter here at about 27 below. Yeah, so we are seeing that your what was in the news that I talked about. Disney is about expensive right now here at about 120, given that reopening names in general have resistance. Disney has resistance here at about 128 to 130. I'd rather wait here at 105 to 95 before entering these names. You could see that last night, even if the US was strong, the valuations of PASI, this is already 300% up from its lows. Notwithstanding, of course, we're not saying that these names have will go down. This is 370%, 55 from about 11 just last March. We're just more prudent in our risk reward ratios. I'd rather wait for a 20% drop here at about 43 areas before I enter in. Other names, so yeah, the names, the top 10 names, the super fangman names, of course, the new fangs of the world. So Datadog, it's also another 300% move since March after great earnings, 200% up. So from about 28 to about 84, it could go higher, but try to make an entry more here in the, I'd wait 20%. Sorry if you're late, but you can't enter if you're late. Just showing you the moves and the potential downside in case you're in the euphoria zone. Of course, these names are in the euphoria zone. Alteryx has resistance here at 150. Drop from about 70 to 150. I'll be careful for that name. Other names like Zoom Video, I like Zoom Video. We liked it buying it about 80, 88, still published buys at about 100, about 140. We last FOMO entry, we entered even at 205, but that was the last for me. That was the last FOMO price for me to enter 205. I say that the resistance for Zoom is about 258. Any rallies would be muted. The FOMO people at about 205 after the earnings still got a 20% move higher. You need to be fast. Extreme moves to the upside often have extreme downside moves. Why do I say that? Take a look here at Nikola Tesla. Nikola, from about $10 to $95, unsustainable, zero revenues. Even with the strength of yesterday's rally, lower high for Nikola, won't be surprised it goes back to about $40. There are a lot of cannabis names that actually fell. We actually had to sell Aurora Cannabis. I bought in this green day, $14, $14.40, sold at about $13.30. As you could see that some names are not joining the rally. So there is a category weakness on your weed names. Yeah, so even if online education is very strong, Treg might have resistance here at 67, bought at about 57, 58, but you have to mind these resistances at 67. GSX, strong moves, but resistance after two strong moves, straight up moves. From about 40 nearing 56. That's about 40% in 3 days. So we mentioned some sports betting names. You could see very strong moves. GAN went from about 17, 18 to as high as 23. We took profit last night. I think 22 to 23 could have some profit taking. However, with a very strong 100+% growth on your iGaming market, GAN Limited, of course, is a software company, makes about 80% clients or casinos. It is a long-term uptrend for the people who wants to bet on sports betting. Nevertheless, I would like to buy only at 19. Yeah, 19 to 20, nothing more, nothing less. So we actually entered when it was going down. So here at about 18 to 17 areas. Gamble, of course, the esports play also up from about 550 to 690. That was a strong 20% up move for us in the last 2 days, 28% up. I sold some from 630 to 690, but I won't be surprised if it continues to about 750. as this is still an infant in terms of companies. Esports is just starting. The wagering is starting. If you get more legalization, could go as high as 9 to 10. I'd say drops to about 6 below is an entry opportunity. The risk reward is still beneficial for the bulls. What Yeah, so I think like you've got I think I talked most of the news here. Okay, lastly, the plant meat place, right? So Beyond Meat actually is supported here at about 140, but at 160 you're seeing resistance. So $160 is a $10 billion market cap. Be a bit careful at that price, given that there's a lot of competition in the plant meat space. Kellogg's is a competition. We've seen it go from about 63 to 66, could go higher to about 72. So it's really about risk and reward. Conagra, there is support at 32, but at 35, it could be a resistance as well. So there's limited buying opportunities at your NASDAQ 10,000 level. Not saying that the market would fall. It's just that you have to pick your entries. If you're buying the leaders, nothing wrong with that. I would love leaders, but as of this moment, C Limited has already gone about more than 200% in the last few months. Like from March 35 to 100, this is a 300% move. In my view, the 200, 300% moves are validation that they are outperforming. They outperformed your S&P, your NASDAQ, your Dow Jones. These are your leaders, but that doesn't mean that your leaders cannot fall 30% from here. So I would wait for the leaders to pull back a bit. Twilio, I think, also extended here at about 210. I'll wait 150. If I am Patsy for waiting, so be it. Made some money on the rallies. I don't want to give back the profits. If I'm sloppy and entering high reward, high risk and low reward situations. That's it, guys. Thank you, and see you again tomorrow.